Canto 15. Benevolent will, in which a righteous love whose breath is true must always show itself, as does cupidity within an evil will, had silenced the sweet-sounding lyre, and hushed the sacred strings that heaven's right hand loosens and draws taut. How can they be deaf to righteous prayers, the very spirits who, to prompt my prayers, fell silent as with one accord? It is well that endless be his grief, who, for love of things that do not last, casts off a love that never dies. As through the clear and tranquil evening sky, from time to time a sudden fire will shoot, drawing the eyes that just before had calmly gazed, and seems a star escaping from its place. Except from where it first was kindled, no star is missing, and it lasts but a brief while. So from the arm of that great cross, extending on the right, a star raced to the foot of the resplendent constellation there. Nor did this jewel leave its ribbon, but ran along the shining band, so that it seemed a flame that glows in alabaster. With such affection did Anchises' shade reach out, if our greatest muse is owed belief, when in Elysium he knew his son. O sanguis meus, o superinfusa gratia Dei, sicut tibi cui, bis unquam celi, ia nua reclusa. Thus spoke that light, and I gave heed, then turned my eyes back to my lady. Whichever way I looked, I was amazed, for there glowed such a smile within her eyes. I thought that with my own I had attained my ultimate bliss, my final paradise. Then a joy to hear and a joy to see the Spirit added to what first he said, words so profound I could not understand them. Nor did he hide his thoughts from me by choice, but by necessity, for his conceptions were set beyond our mortal limit. And when his bow of ardent love relaxed enough to let his speech descend down toward the limits of our intellect, the first thing I could understand was, "May you be blessed threefold in one, who show such favor to my seed." And he went on, that long and welcome craving derived from reading in the massive book, where neither black nor white is ever altered. You have satisfied, my son, within this light from which I speak to you by grace of her who dressed you out in wings for this high flight. You think your thoughts flow into mine through him who is the first, as from the number one will radiate the 5 and 6, if one is known. For that reason you do not ask me who I am, nor why I seem to you more filled with joy than any other in this happy throng. And you are right, for the humble and the mighty up here in this life gaze into the mirror in which before you think them, thoughts shine clear. But that the sacred love which keeps me watching with enduring vision and makes me thirst with sweet desire may be more happily fulfilled, let your voice resound sure, bold, and joyful, to proclaim the will, proclaim the desire, for which my answer is already set. I turned to Beatrice, who had heard before I spoke, and smiled a sign that made my will put forth its wings, and I began. Love and intelligence, once the prime equality appeared to you, then became yours in equal measure, since that sun that lit your way and made you warm distributes both its heat and light so evenly that all comparisons fall short. But for mortals, as you well know, the will to act and the power to carry through have wings that are not feathered equally, so that I, who am mortal, feel in myself this inequality, and thus can only offer thanks for your paternal welcome with my heart. But I implore you, living topaz, set into this priceless ornament, that you reward my longing with your name. O bough of my tree, in whom I have rejoiced, even in expectation, I was your root. Such was the preface of his words to me. Then, he from whom your house derives its name, and who for 100 years and more has circled the mountain on its lowest bank, was your great-grandfather and my son. It is most fitting that you shorten his long and weary labor with your prayers. Florence, within the circle of her ancient walls, from which she still hears tierce and nones, dwelled then in peace, temperate and chaste. No bracelet, no tiara did she wear, no embroidered gown, no waistband more striking to the eye than was its wearer. Nor did a newborn daughter make her father fear, for marriage age and dowry had not yet reached extremes, the one too low, the other one too high. No houses then stood uninhabited, nor had Sardanapalus as yet arrived to show what might be done behind closed doors. Not yet did your Uchalatoyo surpass in splendor Monte Mario, but, exceeding in its rise, it shall surpass it in its fall. I saw Berti wear a belt of leather and plain bone, and saw his lady step back from the glass, her face untouched by paint. And I saw one of the Nerli and a Del Vecchio, both content with wearing simple, unlined skins, their ladies busy with their spindles and their flax. O fortunate women, each knew for certain where she would be buried, nor was any yet forsaken in her bed at Francis' call. One kept eager watch upon the cradle, using sounds and words that first delight fathers and mothers when they soothe their child. Another, while drawing the wool from its spool, would delight her household with the tales of Troy, Fiesole, and Rome. A Ciangella or a Lapo Saltarello in those days would have caused the same surprise as now would Cincinnatus or Cornelia. It was to a municipal life so peaceful and so fair, to a citizenry so loyal, to so sweet a place to live, that Mary gave me when invoked with cries of childbirth. And in your ancient baptistry I was at once Cacciaguida and a Christian. Moronto was my brother, as was Alessio. My wife came from the valley of the Po, and from her you took the surname that you bear. Later I became a partisan of Emperor Conrad, who girded me to be his knight once. With my faithful service I had won his favor. I followed him to oppose the iniquity of that false creed whose people, by the failure of your shepherds, usurp your right. There was I freed by that foul race from all the snares of the deceitful world, the love of which corrupts so many souls, and came from being martyred to this peace.